Hi, my name is Rushikesh, and today in Ideas to Venture program, we'll talk about a very important thing, that how to come up with an idea and evaluate it for a venture. So let's look at how we can go about this, and typical flow look like this for idea generation and validation. So you have to look for problem. So look for problems or gaps in the market that your product or service can address. Moment you think about the problem and how to solve it, you will come up with the ideas. Then start generating a list of potential business ideas. Then do the market research to thoroughly research your target market and competitors, and then implement findings. So once you implement your finding, you can do a customer concept validation. So you can test your business idea with potential customer and reiterate that process till you can reach to the stage where you are confident that okay, your idea is ready to fly in terms of setting a business around it. So let's look at it. I mean, most of the time, students or someone who are new to entrepreneurship always ask these questions: how to generate an idea, right? But you need to remember one thing. It is like the best thing to look for ideas is, I think, look for the problems first, right? Moment you look at the solution, and there is very important saying on this, that your solution is not my problem, right? And this has happened when you just look at the solutions and develop a business around the solutions. But first step is always look for a problem. Just don't create solutions, solve problem. And most of the ventures have started their journey through the problem they encounter, right? So you have to always look for problems around and think of it, okay, what can solve those problems, and that's where you can get your business idea. But then first step is how to identify a problem, right? Or how to identify a problem which is worth solving. I mean, there are numerous problems we come across, and we have to create an idea which solves a problem. But first question is the problem worthwhile to be solved, right? And that's where we would like to discuss this framework of 4 U's, which talks about a problem has to be unworkable, it has to be unavoidable, it has to be urgent, and it has to be underserved. I mean, it has not been served yet, kind of a thing. So let's look at each of these areas. So unworkable, is there a problem which causes severe consequences, right? Let's take an example that road rage is causing serious harms to travelers, right? And that's the reason it is not workable anymore, and you have to solve that problem. There are problems which are unavoidable. That is there something that people have to do or they have, and that is good example would be getting an Aadhaar is mandatory for every Indian citizen, so you cannot avoid it, right? The problem has to be urgent. That is there something that people have to do urgently, that if you do not solve the traffic problem in the cities, eventually our cities will be unlivable in next 10 years. So that will create an urgency. Then is that problem is underserved? Is there a big problem for which number of solutions are not enough, like a kirana store in the neighborhood? Maybe, I mean, it is not serving the purpose of that particular neighborhood. So when you are looking at problem, you can categorize and check if that meets all these 4 U's. You need not to have this all 4 categories. I mean, it might not have a strong score in all 4 categories, but you can think of it as an overall score. Not all problems have all the 4 strong areas. So how you can decide that okay, it is worth addressing? You need to give the scores to each of these areas, and then ask a question that you will have enough customers in strong categories. Like if the problem is underserved, do you think there are enough customers if you decide to solve that problem, right? And if yes, then that gives you your problem statement, right? Now you have your problem statement. Now the second thing which you have to do is come up with the solutions to the problem, right? And then the question comes is how people arrive at solutions, or how people innovate something, right? And these are the 5 skills from the books, The Innovator's DNA. And let's understand what are these 5 skills. First thing is associating, like making connection across seemingly unrelated questions, problems, or ideas. So there might be a data points which might be of a different or not associated to each other, but if you bring those data points together, you might have a solutions coming out of that, right? Then there is a second skill, which is questioning, that asking question to understand why and how things might be changed or disrupted, right? So let's take that example of there are not enough kirana shops around, right? Then you can start questioning, why is it so? Is it like a lack of space? Is it like a lack of customer footprint? What causing that? Then observing, like carefully watching customers, products, services and companies to gain insights and ideas, right? If you carefully observe the kirana shops, the customer coming there, what kind of product they buy, and then you can start thinking that, okay, is it like enough footprint in that shop? Is there a way, I mean, is there the solution can be open one more shop or change the way the shop is operating? Or think of it like delivering direct to the customer. I mean, in that case, your one shop which is not serving the entire neighborhood can equip to do that, right? And then network, like test ideas through the diverse network and vary the value, like and their network who vary wildly in the background and perspective, right? You test it with your customers in your network and then see that, okay, what are inputs coming out of that? And there are a lot of learning happens when you test something with people who are coming from different background. And that's where I keep telling students that when you have a business idea or you have a solution to a problem, never ask your close ones, right? Because that might give you a biased view. Ask people who are like not a part of your close network, and that network has to be diverse. And then experimenting, right? Visit new places, try new things, seek out information to experiment, find out, right? Okay, the experiments can be of two things. You can experiment on your own, or you can visit places and see what all different experiments the currently people are doing, right? And there are a lot of learning happens, and out of this, right, if you train yourself with these skills, the solutions comes naturally to you. Now you have a problem, you have a solution, right? Now question is how to go forward, right? First step you need to do is identify if there is a problem solution fit, very important. The next step is a product market fit, and the third step is a scalability fit. We will go through each of these fits in next slides. So what is problem solution fitment? Is your problem, which is your solution, is solving a problem and getting accepted by the customer. So see, you came up with a solution, but you need to ask that question, that is that solution solving a problem for that customer, or it is complicating it, right? So you have to define solution to a problem. That's the first step. Build a demo. If it is a product, build a minimal viable product, which is an MPV. Test it with the customer, and that's where you can get the customer inputs. And check if the solution is working, right? Can be proposed solution create a customer value? I mean, is it like what you are offering is creating a value that exceed the cost of produce and deliver the solution to the customer? So it is very important that there has to be cost feasibility as well, right? Maybe you know that there are not enough kirana shops in the neighborhood, and if you suggest that, okay, we will make sure that we'll deliver the goods through drone, it might not be a cost optimization, right? Like you have to think that, okay, can that value, customer value, can be exceeded with the cost of produce and deliver a solution for the customer, and then only it becomes sustainable. And do customer realize the unique value proposition? So what you are doing, like take example of Zepto. So Zepto said, if you don't have enough kirana shops in your neighborhood, don't worry. I mean, we will deliver what you want at your place. So the unique value proposition here is a convenience that customer have. Like everything is on their fingerprint. They can just order when they need. And are you getting paid for your solution? That's also important, right? I mean, are you getting paid to value you are adding? And that's where, I mean, before asking that question that, okay, am I getting paid for what I'm doing? You have to ask that question. Am I adding my product or my service is adding the incremental value to the customer? Because the payment is an outcome of that. If you create a value, the customer will pay for that value. Now the second important part is a product market fitment. Now we are coming out of the customer and thinking about, is there a market for a product, right? So let's look at it. I mean, have I built something people want and I can make profit delivering that product? And how you can decide that? So you have a product which people want. The first and foremost thing is that we talked about that. I mean, if we create anything which people don't want, people will not accept it or buy it, right? Then you can find and keep people sustainably. So are you able to find people who can buy this product and sustain that customer, and then you make a profit delivering this product to the people at scale? I mean, it's very important that product market fits talk about you have a product for end customer, and while you're selling this product, it is making a profit. I mean, that gives you confidence that, okay, there is a product market fit which is established, and then you can think about going next, which is scalability fitment, right? Now, it's very important question that can I make it scalable, right? See, the business when it looks at revenue time cycle, the business get when you launch something, be it a product or be it a service, you get initial traction. I mean, traction is nothing but the acceptance by your customer. Now, second phase of it is you grow that traction which you got, which creates the momentum, right? And then there is a constraint zone where you face the constraint, and there you have to ask this question that, can I overcome these constraints and make this a scalable business model, right? Can I grow this, or can I hyper grow this? And if you think you cannot, you actually go and pivot that. And pivot is something we'll understand. If you don't pivot, eventually the business or service will die. So very important question to ask. I mean, it is not that initial traction which will keep you going, because initial traction might die down soon. Even a momentum, if you launch something, there is definitely something new, a novelty factor which can give you initial growth, but you have to ask that, what am I constrained to grow? Can I make it scalable? And if not, how I can pivot it? And that's where I'll talk about a lean startup model. And lean startup model, what it talks about is you have an idea, quickly build it, right? It might be a product, it might be a service, and then measure the success of that, look for data, and then learn out of it. Then if you think of it that, okay, it's working out, think how you can scale it. If it is your learning is okay, it's not working out, you have to pivot. And you will hear a lot about this word pivot. It's nothing but change in direction of startups while you are learning, right? So it is like you are flying an aeroplane and same times you are fixing it, right? And then you have to quickly learn so that it won't hit the ground or get crashed, and you have to quickly change the course. So that's what startups are interesting, right? Because but the lean startup model talk about like continuously having this loop. Do it in the bits and pieces rather than building a big product and then realizing that no one wants it, so that it becomes very difficult to come out of that scenario. Now, once you have a idea or you have a solution to it, you have to make sure that it has to be evaluated with the market research, right? And why we need a market research? Because if you do enough research, you minimize the risk, which you don't foresee. You can make data-driven decision when there is a data available on what you are doing. If you ask people opinion, and then identify opportunity. Many times what happened that you prepared something, but customer wants something altogether, something else. And when you talk to them, you realize, okay, what they want. And that's where the market research is critically important. Now, how to start the market research? I mean, you might not be a marketing graduate, so you might have been heard of this term before. So let's understand that, right? Write down what you want to achieve. Be specific, right? What are you hoping to learn from your market research, or do you want to test a new product idea? I mean, take an example of our Kirana shops. You wanted to do a research in the neighborhood that is this current Kirana shops you are buying is fulfilling your requirement, or you have any more needs, and that time talking to customers are going to give you the right ideas or right feedback. Then identify your target market, right? The more you know about your target market, the better equipped you will be to reach them. And So you need to ask this question: who are you trying to reach with your research? So when it comes to Kirana shop, you have to ask, okay, what are the demographics of people who go to that Kirana shops, right? So you need to define your customer segment very precisely, and what are their needs and wants, right? And needs or wants are different things. So you need to identify, okay, is the purchase happening out of need or is it happening out of wants, right? What motivates them to buy, right? And these questions will help you to decide, okay, who are the target market, and then pick the right research method. There are a couple of research methods. One is primary research, where you can either do it yourself or hire someone to research. If you are a small company just starting doing something, I think it's good to do this research yourself. All it required is coming up with a questionnaire. The questionnaire can be you can do a qualitative research, where it can be done with the help of focus group, open-ended interviews, observation, or it can be quantitative like surveys, right? Or a structured interview to yield structured and numerical data. Both the role is important. If you do a quantitative research, make sure that you have enough data points to back that research. And then if you are doing qualitative research, make sure that you have enough variety in your focus groups, as well as people you are talking to, right? Then there is a secondary research. It involves going through the industry reports and analyzing data collected by third party, right? So like the increase in a population trend, if you wanted to look at, like how much is the adoption of certain technology, right? So you cannot do it from primary research. You can look for the reports which talks about these, and you can easily get it through the secondary research. Then there are tools like Google Alerts, Google Trends, Simple Web, Statista, where you can learn about industry and brand specific, what are the trends happening. You should have a budget and timeline for your research, because what happens sometimes you get lost into there are too many things to research about, and you waste a lot of time and money on research. So it should not be like that. You define that, okay, this is a timeline I'm setting aside for doing research, and then allocate some funds to it. Then formulate question, very important, based on what are you going for, a primary research which is qualitative or quantitative. Then these are the questions you should think of. Who are the direct and indirect customers? What's their market worth? What particular feature can make your service stand out? And you can ask this question, right? If customers are looking to buy from Kirana shops, what are their preferences, or what features which, like maybe a delivery at their doorstep is something they would value more? What is the scope of my service product? And if you are doing something else, compare it with what is the options available currently, and then take your audience's input on that. What are current trends in market? Where the market going? I mean, maybe there is no more Kirana shops because there are a lot of these D2T startups like Zepto, Swiggy, Blinkit, who are delivering directly to the customer doorstep. And then you have to think of, okay, you want it to be another Kirana shop, or you want it to be another D2C. What is buying behavior of customer in your market? I mean, how people buy. You can ask them questions like how frequently you buy, where you buy from, and do a pilot for your research. Run a mini version of study on a small group, tweak the feedback, and then that mini version will give you like inputs to even change or some of these questions or add questions, right? Now, once you complete your research, validate your research by revisiting some respondents for clarification. It sometimes happens that you sent a survey, but if someone has given you a qualitative feedback, you want to understand that better. You can do a one-to-one session with that person and then analyze the data. I mean, there is once you sort and then arrange or present that data, you will be able to see the trends coming out of that. Now, concept validation, how you do a concept validation is typically you apply market research findings to develop your business strategy, campaigns, product development, quickly build an MVV, which is minimum viable product, to test the market. Start small with the target group. Maybe you designed something, then define a target group which is maybe from friends and family, college campus, early adopters, online community, or potential even investor to try your ideas. If it is a technology product or service, start with small target group and then go through that loop which we talked about, right? Build, measure, and learn. decide the metrics you want to track to success of, like, I mean, it is very important you define the success, right? I mean, it just not be I got a very good feedback, but how many number of user you got or revenue per user. So gather feedback on early adapters and tweak the product service accordingly. And after tracking your MVP for some time, you can put it in more resources to pursue or pivot it to another offering. And that's where this cycle is very important. I mean, this feedback will give you confidence that you want to continue what you have, or you want to create something which is different or incremental, right? Let's look at Airbnb's market research as an example. So in the beginning, when Airbnb started, they started with a MVP, set up quickly, tested, and they got a good feedback, right? Saying the customers found it interesting. But when Airbnb looked at the data, they looked at it is not growing beyond $200 per week, right? And then founders decided to visit the host actually in one of these locations, which was New York, to understand the problem better. I mean, why the revenue is not going up. And they discovered that property photos on the platforms were not able to attract new users. I mean, Airbnb is on the property renting, I mean, property where you can rent out your property for a short duration use, and then realize that property photos plays very important role, because if you're not stayed in that property before, you will give a lot of importance to the to the photos, because that gives you a idea about the property, right? And then Airbnb quickly learned out of it, provide a professional photography services to host, and then that helped them to showcase their properties better. And since then, there has been no looking back. Even now, all Airbnb photos are dreamy to make you pack your bags and travel, because if you any of these Airbnb facility, if you like checked it out, I think the photos is something makes that property to stand out. I mean, this is how the market research helps you to learn your business quickly and then make the necessary tweaks. So with that, I think we have talked about, I'll just summarize, we talked about where to start when you have to start your business journey or a venture journey. It is not with the solutions but problems. Think of a possible solutions, and think we talked about the how to identify these solutions and how to validate those solutions with a market research. So with this, I think we'll look forward to a few more interesting topics on the way, and we'll see you there then. Thank you very much.